ating nababakunahan, those that have gone inoculation sa ating mga healthcare workers?
Doon sa latest report ng aming City Health Office, out of 3,800 health frontliners, public and private, nasa 90 to 95% na po ang Parañaque.
Mayor, with this figure, would you start rolling out vaccines among the next ones in line, tulad na lang po ng mga senior citizens?
Yes, yun po ang ginagawa natin kasi continuous yung vaccination natin doon sa ating mga vaccination sites. So, ang ating priority doon, yung ating mga naiwanan pa mga health frontliner. Kapag hindi po sila dumating, meron tayong substitution list based doon sa ating guidelines ng DOH, yung senior citizen, pati yung ating po mga person with comorbid, yun po ang susunod po natin sa kanila. Pero sila yung substitution list. Pero ang priority pa rin yung ating health frontliners.
Mayor, with that said issue, does actor Mark Anthony Fernandez belong to that group na sinasabi niyo pong kasama sa substitution list? And can you explain to us further kung ano po ba yung concept nitong substitution list?
Apo, nagkaroon po kami ng investigation dito at kinasap po mismo yung aming City Health Officer, si Dr. Olga Bertuso, pati yung ating medical officer na nag-handle po doon sa ating vaccination center na yun, kung saan si Mark Fernandez ay nagkaroon ng inoculation. Lumalabas na yung pong tao ay may comorbid po siya. Meron po siyang hypertension at sinabi rin ng doktor meron parang slight na depression, yung anxiety.
I see, Mayor. Mayor, balikan ko lamang po the figures, the exact number. Do you have the exact number on how much or what percentage of senior citizens have already been inoculated sa Parañaque City?
Sa senior citizen, wala po akong data. Pero marami na po kami na-inoculate po doon kasi yan po yung lumalabas visa ng substitution. Kapag hindi po dumating yung health frontliner po natin, yung substitute will be the senior citizen.
Mayor, we're getting reports that Parañaque has started rolling out vaccines in public schools. Can you confirm this? And can you name these schools and who are the candidates for inoculation?
Meron kami vaccination center dito sa San Antonio Elementary School. Katabi po yan ng City Hall. Tabi po ng City Gym, andun mismo sa ground ng City Hall. At ang inoculate po natin po dyan yung ating mga health frontliners. Kasama po yung ating mga substitution list ng ating senior at saka yung mga person with comorbid.
At this point, Mayor, is Parañaque City using the on-hand AstraZeneca vaccines or the supposed second doses as permitted by President Duterte?
Yes. Actually, the first guidelines of the DOH, kailangan i-reserve natin yung second dose. Pero lumabas yung panibagong guidelines po tungkol sa AstraZeneca that we could use the second dose para po sa ating first jab sa ating mga beneficiary. Kaya nagkaroon po tayo ng extra doon po sa ating po mga frontliners. Kasi ang allocated po sa atin, yung para sa health frontliner po natin. Ginagamit po natin ngayon yung para sa second dose kasi darating naman yung delivery para on time para sa 6 to 8 weeks ang second dose ng AstraZeneca.
Mayor Olivares, ayon po kay DILG Undersecretary Epimaco Densing III, ang inyo po daw substitution list ay may mali. So ano po ang inyong pahayag tungkol dito?
I will check on that kasi ang gumagawa po niyan yung aming pong City Health Office po natin At doon sa aking instruction mismo, based sa guidelines ng DOH, ang ating substitution list. That will be senior citizen and person with comorbid.
So aside from Mark Anthony Fernandez, Mayor, some mayors are now under fire for supposedly skipping the priority list. What's your take on that?
Sino mga mayor, sa probinsya?
Opo, meron na po mga ilang mayor po na nabakunahan and what they're saying is they're not in the priority list which is only for healthcare workers sana and of course after niyan senior citizens.
Tama yun, kasi dapat sundin po natin yung ating mga priority list kasi yun po yung priority. O kailangang unahin muna natin po yung ating mga priority list based doon po sa inapproval ng IACF.
Mayor, ano po pulso ng inyong mga constituents when it comes to the confidence of the vaccine?
Kumanda na po siya. Noong po kami nag-umpisa ng aming online registration that was 3-4 months ago, napakakonti na nag-register. Pero ngayon, dahil nakapag-roll out na tayo at mismo yung mga medical professional po natin ay nagpa-inoculate, nabuo na po yung kumpiyansa. But we have continuing pa rin yung ating dissemination for the right messaging for this vaccine.
Mayor, as of the moment, Parañaque is still classified by the Department of Health as a critical area. Paano po natin masisiguro na sa paparating po na Holy Week hindi pa po tataas ang mga kaso?
Ngayon, alam naman po natin mula noong March 22 until April 4, meron tayong hard GCQ. So yan po yung pina-implement po natin hard GCQ. At maganda rin ito meron tayong NCR plus yung ating bubbles. Nakasama rin po natin yung mga outskirt na probinsya, namely yung ating Bulacan, Rizal, lalo kami sa amin, tabi kami na Laguna at Cavite, na hindi pwede tayo lumabas outside ng ating bubble o pumasok dito sa atin kung hindi po essential in yung business.
Alright, maraming salamat sa inyo pong oras. Thank you very much. That's Parañaque City Mayor, Mayor Edwin Olivares. Palace spokesman Harry Roque scolded local officials who jumped the COVID-19 vaccination line. In today's press briefing, Roque told mayors to let healthcare workers be inoculated first to protect the country's agreement with the COVAX facility. But in the same breath, the palace official singled out and defended Tacloban City Mayor Alfred Romualdez. Roque insisted that the vaccinated mayor only intended to boost the confidence of his constituents.
Mga mayor, tama na po yan, ha? Pag yan ay nagpatuloy, 44 million ang dosages ng COVAX facility vaccines ang po pwedeng mawala sa atin, no? So please, we ask for your indulgence.
Now let's check in on the latest vaccine stories from around the world. AstraZeneca's shot is 76% effective in preventing symptomatic COVID-19 infections based on updated trial results from the United States. The British-Swedish pharmaceutical company was earlier criticized for supposedly using outdated information in its COVID-19 vaccine. India has halted all major exports of AstraZeneca shots made by the Serum Institute of India to meet domestic demands. The move will affect supplies to the COVAX facility, where 64 lower-income countries, including the Philippines, are currently benefiting from. And in New Zealand, athletes representing the country in the Tokyo Olympics will be getting early access to vaccines. Aside from Olympians, those eligible to jump the queue are Paralympians and the national cricket team who will travel to Britain for a tournament. No more stories after the short break. Keep it here with us. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. Navotas has provided quarantine bans for residents under home quarantine as the city is dealing with spike in cases and fully occupied hospitals and isolation sites. Let's get more details on this. We have JC Cosico reporting live. JC, how do these Q bans actually work?
Riza, Navotas City has begun the use of quarantine bans or Q bans for residents undergoing home quarantine. The bans contain a QR code that tracks the movement of quarantine Navotas residents. Once scanned, it sends a signal to authorities if one breaches the 25-meter radius limit within their households. Residents caught outside wearing the Q ban, including those who will be found to have intentionally damaged the device, will be fined up to 5,000 pesos. A city ordinance is also being drafted for this amid the continuous rise in COVID-19 cases in Navotas City. From last month's 10, the city's daily average cases surged from 100 to 200. Mayor Toby Tiangco said that the variants are the main drivers for the spike in cases. There are at least 10 known cases of COVID-19 variants in the city, mostly the more infectious UK or the B117 variant. The Navotas City Hospital's 50-bed capacity capacity for COVID-19 patients is also now fully occupied. That's why its outpatient department services has been temporarily suspended since March 15, as some staff were also infected with COVID-19. Mayor Tiangco says their isolation facilities for COVID-19 patients are also fully occupied. The LGU is also planning to expand their isolation sites by using schools in the area, and they are in talks with the education department regarding this. Back to you.
Thank you for that report, JC Cosico. MMDA Chairman Benhur Abalos says the COVID-19 trend in Pasay City is improving. Abalos told One News Now that the number of new cases in the area plateaued after carrying out various interventions. Pasay City was among the first local government units to have reimposed localized lockdown due to a surge in cases. The MMDA official hopes that the entire Metro Manila, which is now under stricter quarantine, will have the same outcome.
Interesting is just look at the case of Pasay. It had a spike of 240 cases, 80 cases. But for the last 2 days, no, medyo hindi na ganun kataas ang spike niya. It's now about 40 or 38 yesterday.
Talks on COVID-19 vaccine passports have opened legal and ethical concerns. We'll find out more from Bloomberg's Business Week's David Rocks on Quick Take Charge.
Take us into the debate here that's happening globally about vaccine passports. Why is it such a thorny situation?
Well, there's a whole host of questions about whether they're even effective, whether anybody can, whether they actually mean anything. Are people who've been vaccinated, are they still carriers or not? Nobody actually knows that. But then more important, or just as important, I would say, are some of the ethical issues, and that's what we covered in the story that we did today, which is, what is it really fair?
Is it fair in what sense? Is it fair in the sense that people don't have equal access to vaccines? So it wouldn't be fair to require somebody, for example, as your team writes, no jab, no job?
Yeah. So there's a couple of different ways to look at this. Is it fair because some people don't have vaccines? And then who are the people who've gotten vaccinated first? If you think about what's happened over the past year or so, we've all been asked to stay inside, and especially younger people. And I'm not a younger person, I will admit, but younger people have been asked to stay inside so that their elders will be safe. And so, who's gotten vaccinated first? Well, it's actually the elders. And so now we're saying, okay, well, Grandma and Grandpa can jet off to to Mallorca, while you, Junior, you got to stay at home locked in your apartment. I mean, it smells a little bit bad,
It does, but
it doesn't feel very fair.
And look, you're speaking to somebody who absolutely fits that situation, right? In my family, like the people closest to me, 6 of 8 have been vaccinated. I'm one of the 2 who haven't at this point, and I'm like, come on, when is my turn? But at the same time, I know my turn is going to come. So we're talking. Are we talking weeks or months here, rather than this being a prolonged problem? Because I personally don't see it being that big of an issue, because eventually I will become vaccinated.
So there's a difference between where you are and where I am.
Right.
I'm on the other end of that age spectrum, and I have no idea when I'm going to get vaccinated here in Germany. Obviously the U.S., the U.K. are doing somewhat better. Israel's doing great. But even in those places, there are certain concerns about how this is going to work, because what's going to happen is people in poorer places are not going to be able to get access to vaccines. There are a lot of countries where nobody or virtually nobody's been vaccinated yet. And what about those people? And so it's going to create this kind of two-tier world, this a situation of unfairness. So you're absolutely right. Someday we'll all get vaccinated, but will there be variants out that mean that these vaccines don't work? Nobody really knows that yet. But then B, in the meantime, and it's not a matter of weeks, unfortunately, it's probably a matter of months, if not well over a year.
So in that year, in the meantime, what is the solution here? What do the bioethicists say? And what do the healthcare experts say?
Well, there's, they're all over the place on this. But I would broadly say that people are quite concerned that any kind of passporting system will raise inequity. Inequities that have been exposed by the healthcare systems around the world, by the way the vaccine has spread, by the places that that have access to better healthcare or not. But then at the same time, the way people, between countries and who's got the vaccine or not.
Now, for more updates, visit News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World Online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on Signal Play app. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I'm Riza Diaz. We are One News.